Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started because I know at least some of you need to get going. You can't hear me? Is this better? Okay. Can everybody stop their conversations, please, and start paying attention? Thank you. My name is Pat Davidson, and I'm the Get It Together chairperson for this year. Kathy is, of course, who all of you know really well because she's the one who sends you all the messages all the time. First off, we want to acknowledge some participants in our audience and sponsors. First off, the chair, where did he go? There's Rich. Rich Jacobs is the chairman of the board of the Drive Safe Hampton Roads. Up front here is Holly Dobby and Ryan from AAA of Tidewater. So a couple of the schools know them because they were their liaisons for the program. And then Dwight Jenkins from the DMV Highway Safety Office. Both AAA and DMV are a sponsor, have helped pay the bill for the Get Together program. Okay, let's get started. So we're in the 22-23. This is the awards breakfast, and I want a special thank to the committee members who help plan this whole program every year, and then all our community liaisons, which all of you know. You may want to raise your hand so other people know who you are. They all volunteered to get up early in the morning out there in sometimes cold weather to check seatbelts. And then, of course, all our school liaisons, the teacher or the SRO or whoever stepped up and volunteered to spearhead this from school. These are the financial sponsors for the Get It Together program: State Farm, DMV, AAA, the Christopher King Foundation, and of course Drive Safe Hampton Roads. Christopher King Foundation is for Christopher King. He lived in Williamsburg and at the age of 18 was killed in a car crash because he was unbelted. He was ejected from the vehicle. So he is one of the reasons we do this. Okay, success stories. 75% of the schools finished with a seatbelt rate of above 80%. 45% of schools finished above 90%, which is really good. And even at the 80%, you're kind of at where the whole state of Virginia is. So for the most part, the high schools are doing better than the state of Virginia. And 20% of schools finished above 95%. These are all the schools that participated this year. As you can see, we're pretty much covered just about all the cities in Hampton Roads and a couple of the counties also. And we're still, just like you are in the schools, trying to recover from COVID. COVID did a lot of damage for all the schools, I know, but also for us. And we're in a rebuilding phase, just like I'm sure all the schools are too. Okay, first off, participation category. To be in the participation category, you had to have completed the 3 seatbelt checks. So the baseline, which is Drive Safe did the baselines, and then you did the midway and the final. And they participated in at least 2 categories. First up is Lakeland High School. They had a seatbelt use of 85%. Is there anybody from Lakeland here? Okay. Oh, that's right. Dean was going to accept. Okay. And also Bethel High School. Bethel had a 5% increase in their seatbelt use rate up to 67.32%. And now we're moving into the bronze medals. You had to participate in it, well, you had to do all the seatbelt checks, number one, the 3 seatbelt checks. You had to participate in at least 3 categories. So you had to do activities that earned you points. You had to do pledge drive. You had to do the seatbelt checks and or the PSA. You also had to have at least a minimum of 250 activity points, and you had to have an improvement in your belt use or a final belt use above 75%. And first off, Bayside High School. Bayside was quite active. They had 1,700 points, activity points, and they ended with a seatbelt use of 81.22%. Next is York High School. They had 475 activity points and a 93.49 seatbelt use, which is wonderful. Next is Norview High School. They had 1,950 activity points, which is huge, and a 77.33% seatbelt use. And we have some pictures that Norview sent in, kind of documenting some of the things they did. And I really love it when you guys use the sidewalk chalk. You don't know what we have to go through sometimes trying to find enough sidewalk chalk. Believe it or not, some years Walmart is stocked to the brim with sidewalk chalk in the summertime. And then there's been some other years where we've had to do travel from store to store to store, buying 2 here, 4 here. So it's really great when we see that you actually go ahead and use it. Next is Menchville. What? Oh, she's telling me to. I'm going too fast, I guess. Okay. And next is Menchville High School. They earned 675 points and seatbelt use rate of 80.97%. And here are a few pictures from Menchville. Next up is Manor High School. Manor had a 24.9% increase in their seatbelt use from baseline to final, which is huge. And they ended up with 73.07%. So way to go, Manor. Grafton High School had a 5.06 increase in their seatbelt use rate, and they ended up at 96.84%. Yeah, I think Grafton was one of the ones that nobody was coming. Okay. Churchland High School had 975 activity points and a seatbelt use rate of 75.78%. So, way to go. And I also want to note that this is the first year that Portsmouth has had so many high schools participate, which is really great. Okay. Now we're moving on to the silver medal. So in addition to the seatbelt checks, you have to participate in at least 3 activities, or 3 categories, I should say. But you have to earn a minimum of 550 activity points. So kind of up the bar a little bit. you have to have either an improvement of at least 10% in your seatbelt use rate, or that you end up above 85%. First comes Salem High School. They meet the seatbelt increase on both ends. They ended up with an 88.5% belt use increase of 11.75%. And here are some of the pictures of some of the activities that Salem did. Great job of using their message board out front, especially since that's right on Lynn Haven Parkway, which gets a lot of traffic. So a lot more than just the high school sees that. And they did Click It or Ticket and a number of different other signage in their school, and did whole bulletin boards with stuff. Yeah. Next, Jamestown High up there in Williamsburg. They had a 93.07% seatbelt use. Is there anybody here from Jamestown? Huh, they must not have made it. What? Nobody's getting up. That's kind of an indication that maybe nobody's here. Well, I'm seeing too, War Hill. I wonder if there's another crash on the bridge tunnel. Lafayette High School, 1675 activity points and 97.69 seatbelt use. That's huge. And I guess Lafayette didn't make it either. So that tells me even more that there's an issue. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's looking like. Anybody over on the peninsula didn't make it. Okay. Lansdowne High School, they had the highest overall seatbelt use of all the high schools at 97.7%. Yep. Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was like one or two people. And if I also remember correctly, it was drivers, which kind of surprised me because usually it'll be a passenger that will nail you. But good job, Lansdowne. And as you can see here, they used their mascot and put him in a seatbelt, which is great. Oh, well. Okay, next is Warwick High School. They had a 80.0% seatbelt use and an increase of 12.82%. Next is Hickory High School. They had 750 activity points and a 95.29 seatbelt use. Next is War Hill High School, which I suspect they're not here since they're on the peninsula also. They had a 4.49% increase, but they had a 94.23% seatbelt use rate. Yeah. Once you get up over 90, it's really hard to do anything on increasing. And not that you don't increase, but you'll increase by 1 or 2%, and that's it, because there's not much room there. And now, for our gold medal winners, they had to participate in all 4 categories. So they did it all. They had to have activity points of at least 800, and they had to improve a minimum of 15% or final use at 95% or better, which is big. First up, Indian River High School. They had 2,450 activity points, which is the largest of any of the schools. They also had a 24.17% increase in seatbelt use. So yes, here are some pictures from some of the things they did. Next is IC Norcom High School, which I think is the first time we've had Portsmouth High School make it into the gold category, so way to go. They had a seatbelt use of almost 79%, but they had the largest increase in their seatbelt use rate. They had a 37.02% increase. And here are some of the activities they did. Created license plates and posted them around the school. Next is Kempsville High School. They had a 13.69% increase and had a 95.83 seatbelt use. And last but not least is Kellam High School. They had a seatbelt use rate of 95.01%. Kind of slipped right in there. And here are some of the pictures. And one thing, and I don't know whether some of the other high schools did this too, they're just the only ones that provided proof of it, but they also put an article in the parent magazine or the parent newsletter, which we thought was really a great idea. Okay, now, well, let me let them finish. Okay, the video submissions. We had 9 high schools submit a PSA. One high school, Menchville, submitted 2 PSAs. So Churchland, Hickory, IC Norcom, Indian River, Kellam, Norview, Kentsville, Menchville, and Warwick. I'm sorry. And could you get me my glass of water? Thank you. So in this year's PSA video competition, we had 2 winners. First up is Indian River.
You got a new job? Yeah, I went through Live Tigers. Nice. Whoa, what are you doing? Are you crazy? What? We're on a seatbelt. Oh, yeah. I must be a dummy.
And the second winner is IC Norcom.
You know you're sitting next to that, right?
We let you go on a warning today, man. Appreciate you, man. Put your seatbelt on, man. Seatbelt saved your life. You don't want to go through the windshield, or you don't want anybody from the rear, children or whatever, going through without being properly secured. So it's very important that you buckle up.
Okay. So thank you to all the schools that did the extra effort to do the PSA. So who really won? Everybody did. Here are some of the activities that schools did. They put up murals. They did the PSA. They did cheers at sporting events. They had school presentations, sidewalk messaging, Vince and Larry crash test dummies. Well, I should say that singular. Indian River found out how to go about getting a Vince and Larry costume because, as the rest of you know, because of COVID, we were not loaning out our costumes, which I think we will probably be starting back next year doing that. And I know that had effect on a lot of you because that was an easy way to get some activity points, either using Vince and Larry or the Grim Reaper. Great use of social media. Pledges. Some schools did a wall of shame. When they were doing their seatbelt checks, they noted the license plate of students that weren't belted, and then they posted them. So kind of embarrassed them. They did holiday campaigns. They used their school marquees. They put seatbelt messages on their school website. They used it in morning announcements. They had their mascots wearing seatbelts at sporting events. And they had step team routines. So baseline across all schools. So if you averaged out all those schools for that baseline, they were at 80.16% seatbelt use rate. The final rate among all schools was 96.57, so we had an increase of 6.4%. Which, yes, applaud to all of you guys, because you're the one who does all the hard work. Next, we want to make an acknowledgement to Deborah Fry from Indian River High School. This year, she received the John T. Hanna Award for Excellence in Youth Traffic Safety. So just kind of the way to go, Deborah. Okay, and then, where's Jim? Because we're done. Jim McElligott is with Drive Smart Virginia, and he just wants to take a couple minutes to tell you about something he's got.
Thank you. As she stated, I'm Jim McElligott, and I'm with Drive Smart Virginia. How many are familiar with Drive Smart? Great, great. This is a newly appointed position for Drive Smart. There are 4 regions in Virginia, DMV regions, and each region now is going to have a regional strategic partnership coordinator. Primarily, the job is to reach out to folks in the different regions, and our region here is the Portsmouth region, and it's basically all of Hampton Roads and Eastern Shore, Virginia. And I am trying to build a database of professionals, teachers, administrators, law enforcement, folks in the community, underserved communities, things of that sort, to be able to give personal assistance to them in providing information concerning highway safety. I would like, if you would, at the end of the presentations, the event, I will have a QR code on a piece of paper that's attached to my business card, and the QR code is for you to provide information about you to me, just contact information. There's no real personal information that I'm asking for, only that information so that I can get back to you and make contact with you to find out what your needs may be, and I can provide information to you from Drive Smart, Virginia. The information is not information that is seriously personal information, so don't have any issues with that. But I would appreciate as much of you as possible taking time to use your smartphone to take a picture, and that'll take you directly to the information sheet that I've made. I will get back to you probably through email initially to make contact, and then we can discuss how I can serve you better and to grow a partnership with you. So does anybody have a question? So please, I'll be over at the registration area when we finish here, and I'll have the QR code and my business card for you. Thank you.
Okay. So first off, we want to thank you, because without you guys, we would have no program, no get-together program. And as I said, you're the one, we do some work getting it set up and put together, but you're the one who's doing things on a daily basis. And I realize that it has not been easy the past 2 years, but we are seeing some increases from last year. Last year, we had no breakfasts. We mailed everything to you guys. And while we did do the seatbelt checks, you were more limited, plus you were trying to come out of the tunnel. Now today, we had the kickoff breakfast, and we had the awards breakfast. Didn't get as many high schools as we used to get pre-COVID, but 20 is not bad at all. So, and hopefully next year we will have more. So, see you next year. Oh, and one other thing. We always are trying to improve this. And any of you that have been, any of the teachers and stuff who've been around for a while with this program, you know, we did a major revamp of it a few years ago. So, you have the email address of get it together at drivesafehr.org or GIT at drivesafehr.org or Kathy's email. If you have any suggestions of changes you would like to see in the program that would make it easier or better, please, ideally in the next month or two, let us know. Because come summer is when we're going to be looking at stuff and making some changes. So would love your input for that. So be safe and have a wonderful summer. And remember to always buckle up. And thank you for all coming. Yes? She's not even paying attention to us. If any of you want seconds on food, I know you have some hungry students. By all means, get some. Thank you for your help.